Lots of people purposely think and behave in ways that they feel society expects of them. Sometimes we also do this out of fear of missing out. Like we put ourselves out there and take risks in pursuit of finding new experiences. And although strategic risk taking is not only acceptable but necessary, I do feel like lots of people put themselves into unnecessary suffering. And that's because they're not playing their character correctly. See, ever since we're little, we are conditioned to think and behave in certain ways. This dogma is typically followed into adolescence and adulthood. Because of this conditioning, we tend to behave and think in ways that aren't actually consistent with our temperament or character. And as cringe as video game analogies can be sometimes, unfortunately, this one captures the point pretty well. People are kind of like video game characters essentially with different stats. And because of this, in video games, we tend to min-max, right? To play our character optimally. And I don't really think real life and playing your person is any different. In psychology, one of the frameworks that is often used to explain what personality even is, we use an acronym called OCEAN. OCEAN stands for openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So in other words, those 5 things are what psychology currently posits make up your personality. Now, why should you care? Well, knowing what your personality is like can help you make better decisions and choose a playstyle that fits you. Lots of people aren't very introspective, and it's not because they're dumb or something, but because some people are kind of scared to slow down and be alone with their thoughts. I think this applies to all sorts of people. I've seen this a lot. And these sorts of people are always on the move, distracting themselves with novelties and friendships, even superficial ones, So they're never really by themselves with their thoughts. And, it's really important to be introspective, to really understand, what do you want out of, life? So understanding what your character type is really important. Otherwise, it's like choosing a video game character like a glass cannon and trying to tank for your team. You're not really playing your character correctly and you're not min-maxing. How are you supposed to play the game when you don't even know what your character does? So I'm going to briefly go through the 5 dimensions of OCEAN, the acronym I said earlier. What I'd like for you to do is loosely place yourself on a Likert scale from strongly disagree, agree, or strongly agree. I'm not going to include a neutral category, and I encourage you all to do the same, since neutral often leads to fence sitting. So if the instructions aren't clear, we'll kind of do an example together. So first off, we have openness. This is how open you are to trying new things and having new experience. So just to be clear, as an example, if you're someone who isn't very open to new experience and you like pattern and consistency, you probably strongly disagree, right? That's where you would put yourself in, right? For openness. And if you consider yourself an open person, you'd either say agree or you strongly agree. And that's just kind of what I'd like for you to do for each of these 5 things. So we have conscientiousness next. This trait is about how organized, responsible, and disciplined you tend to be. Like planning ahead, following through commitments, and being dependable. Next, we have extroversion. And this is probably one you're all really familiar with. This is basically how much social energy you have and how comfortable you are in social environments. Also, just to be clear, you could totally be someone who isn't socially awkward, yet still be introverted. So don't think because you can function in social environments means that automatically you would have to qualify yourself as extroverted. It's really important to illuminate that caveat, because some people might incorrectly put themselves in either disagree or agree, Next, we have agreeableness. This is basically how cooperative and easygoing you are. Are you someone who doesn't really mind going with the flow? Or are you someone who objects often and prefers to do things their own way. Lastly is neuroticism. This is basically how prone you are to experiencing negative emotions. If you're someone who is easily stressed, anxious, sad, or angry, you'd probably say like you would either do agree or strongly agree, because you would be, well, neurotic or display neuroticism if this description fits with your character. So again, the reason why I bring ocean up is because I think it'll help you all kind of like make decisions and kind of like live a lifestyle that is consistent with your character build. Like if you're someone who is constantly afraid of missing out and you've been contemplating going to like a party or a club or whatever, for instance, however, you're also someone who is like highly neurotic, you're like low in agreeableness and highly conscientious, maybe going to such an event isn't really built for your character. And like, you don't have to fear missing out because, well, you're playing by your character's rule. You understand that, like, this doesn't mean that it's impossible for you to go to this event and you won't enjoy yourself. You might enjoy yourself, but you wouldn't probably bet on it either. Instead, maybe what's a better decision is like brainstorming events and lifestyles, career choices that are compatible with your stats. Like, many of us hear about how fun and wild parties and clubbing can be, and like a lot of us tend to like maybe get a little bit envious because we just feel like we don't put ourselves out there much. Therefore, we sometimes, thug it out and go to these things even when our character, again, isn't built for it. We do that because that's what society says to do. Like, society seems to think like these are the fun things to do and you're afraid of missing out. And lots of us get hurt that way. There is no shame in accepting what our characters allow us to do and not allow us to do.